Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Movie Pit Podcast. I am your host, Christian. I'm back after a while of being gone. I have returned to the podcast. So one of the reasons why I haven't been podcasting, I believe it's 2, maybe 3 weeks now. I had a tooth taken out, and obviously I couldn't do the podcast that week that I had the tooth taken out. And then last week I was feeling better, but I didn't think that I would be able to, do a full-length podcast. Now, I'm feeling completely better. A lot of the swelling has gone down, and I'm back, and I'm feeling a lot better. So hopefully I can do the podcast. Today's first real test, I guess, of talking a lot because of my tooth being taken out. But I'm fine. The tooth's out. It's its own little thing, but I'm not going to bore you with the details. So, I'm back. Let's do the podcast. There was a lot of news that came out, obviously, since then. I'm not even going to try to, pick out big news items that came out, because there was just so many. So, hopefully you like the Facebook page, my Facebook page for the podcast, and you've been keeping up with that. If you haven't, link will be down below, or you just go to facebook.com/moviepit. And yeah, so let's get right into the news that came out this week. So it's going to be probably a lighter podcast, depending on how I rant about some certain news items. But yeah, let's just go with the flow. So the first news item, the Tomb Raider movie gets a 2018 release date. It was announced that Alicia Vikander would play the iconic video game character of Lara Croft in the new film adaptation of Tomb Raider. The movie will be directed by Roar Uthrog, I think that's how you say his last name. He directed the movie called The Wave, and will tell the story, of course, of the young and untested Croft fighting to survive her first adventure. Now, it's basically kind of what that logline anyway. Early logline. It sounds like they're going to follow the same plot line from the 2013 rebooted games, which finds the character kind of stranded on, well, not kind of, she is stranded on an island trying to survive. So we don't know if they're going to thoroughly adapt the new video game, but the video game was met with a lot of fanfare. It was met with a lot of critical response, so I think them going somewhat in that direction kind of makes sense. But now they have a release date. Tomb Raider will now hit theaters on March 16th of 2018. Sounds like a good, solid release date. However, March is pretty packed. As of right now, March 2018 already has the giant shark movie Meg, which we talked about here on the podcast before, an untitled Fox and Marvel movie, which could be X Factor or X-Force, sorry, or Deadpool or something else. They have Wreck-It Ralph 2 coming out on March 2018, and Steven Spielberg's adaptation of Ready Player One is also set at the moment to come out on March 2018. So March looks pretty packed, which is pretty cool. Unusual, but really, really cool to see. Michelle Williams is in talks for The Greatest Showman on Earth. She is in talks, Michelle Williams is in talks to take the female lead in the P.T. Barnum biopic. Barnum, aka Barnum and Bailey. That's what the biopic is going to be about. The film is called The Greatest Showman on Earth. Hugh Jackman is already set to take the lead in the film, and Zac Efron entered talks to join the film last month, which of course we didn't talk about in the podcast because of my tooth. He was in talks to join last month as well, so Williams and Efron's roles are both being kept under wraps, but Williams will indeed be the female lead in the film if she, of course, takes the role. The film has been in the works since 2009, and it's been on again, off again, but Jackman's always kind of been the one that has been attached since the beginning. And the film finally looks like it's going to be gearing up soon. Obviously, they're bringing the cast together. No word yet on when the film will go into production, nor a release date, but again, they're getting the cast together. You can probably assume maybe sometime later this year or next year for sure, they'll start filming. I think it'd be kind of cool. Hugh Jackman, Michelle Williams is a very talented and great actress, and we'll see who else they bring into the fold. Woody Allen's next movie will star Justin Timberlake, Kate Winslet, James Belushi, because he's a grown man, damn it. He doesn't want to go by Jim anymore, and Juno Temple. Woody Allen's next movie, Cafe Society, is already set to come out later this month, but he's already set to work. He's already pretty much, getting to work on his next film. Of course, his next film, like any other Woody Allen movie, doesn't have a title, doesn't have a plot line, and no one knows who the actors are playing. So it's a Woody Allen movie through and through. But he hasn't worked with any of these people before, which seems it's kind of a trend that he's doing lately. And I mean, the cast is pretty solid. I mean, Justin Timberlake hasn't really impressed me as an actor just yet. I mean, some of the comedic stuff he does is funny, but as a kind of real, kind of serious actor, I don't think he's done really anything serious since The Social Network, from what I can remember. But he was good in that. I mean, he was playing kind of a d-bag in that. But maybe he's good at playing a d-bag. I don't know. But nonetheless, Justin Timberlake's in there. Kate Winslet, she's a great plus. She's great in everything she does, really. James Belushi, he's done a lot of TV stuff. He mostly sticks to TV now. So I haven't really seen him in anything recently. And Juno Temple, she's kind of an indie darling at the moment. She's done a lot of indie films. She was in Killer Joe. She was in Loveless. She was in Horns. She had very small roles in The Dark Knight Rises and Maleficent and Black Mass. She also appeared on the HBO show that just got canceled, Vinyl. I heard she was great in that. I didn't watch the show, but and she's a solid actress in things I've seen her in and everything I hear about her. She's a great actress, so she's a good addition to the Woody Allen cast, I guess. No word yet on when the film will go into production, but Woody Allen does have a TV series he's working on for Amazon, so this will probably come after he finishes the TV series. Kiefer Sutherland nears a deal to join the Flatliners remake. Now, he was a star in the original. He was one of the stars of the original film that came out in 1990. I think it was actually 1990. So he's nearing a deal to star in the remake that will be directed by Niels Arden Oplof. He directed the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. The deal isn't finalized just yet, but if it happens and when it happens, probably. There's no word on what kind of role he's going to be in, if it's going to be a supporting role, if it's going to be just a cameo role. There's just no word on that just yet. But the remake already does have a really solid cast. It has Ellen Page, Diego Luna, Nina Dobrev, James Norton, and Kiersey Clemens, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And production is set to begin pretty soon. I think they're going to be filming, something like the end of the month or next month or something like that. So they're filming pretty soon. And for those not familiar with the original film, it followed a group of medical students who purposefully died and bring each other back to study the quote near-death experiences. And the original film starred Sutherland, also Kevin Bacon was in there, Oliver Platt was in there, and Julia Roberts was also in the film. And the Flatliners, I haven't watched the original in so long, so I don't really have too much of a connection to it. I know some people are kind of upset that it's getting remade. I know some people are are accepting of the fact that it's getting remade as long as it's good. So I think not all movies need to be remade, but there are some movies out there that's like, you know what? I think this would benefit from a remake, and maybe Flatliners is one of those. Obviously, the science of bringing people back from the dead, and how people view that has changed. So we don't know how this movie will address those issues. But it's obviously a lot of stuff has changed since 1990. Idris Elba is set to make his directorial debut with Yardi. You can now add Idris Elba to the long list of actors that are going from in front of the camera to behind the camera. In an interview with Studio Canal CEO Danny Perkins, Screen Daily reports that Elba will indeed make his directorial debut with a film based off Victor Headley's novel called Yardi. The book is described as followed. D, a courier carrying cocaine from Jamaica to London, decided to go it alone and disappears into the mean streets of Hackney, carrying a kilo of white powder that his friends are anxious to recover, but D's treachery will never be forgotten or forgiven. There's no word yet on who might be involved casting-wise, but the script is being written by Norman Brock, who co-wrote Nicholas Winding reference film Bronson, which that turned out to be pretty good, so we'll see what happens. Now, Elba, of course, he's proven himself to be more than capable of doing whatever it is asked of him to do by a director, and he's worked with a lot of great directors already, so it'd be kind of cool to see him step behind the camera. I don't know. We don't know his directing style. We don't know how he's gonna, who he's gonna bring in or how he's gonna approach this material, but I kind of like the idea. I think it's kind of cool. I think cool to see him step behind the camera for a change. Nicholas Winding Refn, speaking about Bronson, was approached to direct Spectre. Yes, the James Bond movie. The director of Drive, Only God Forgives, and Bronson, like we mentioned earlier, and most recently The Neon Demon, which I saw and was not very good, was apparently approached to direct the last James Bond film, Spectre. Refn told The Telegraph in an interview saying he was approached by Eon Productions to consider Spectre. He didn't go too much into detail about the meeting, but he did say he was more interested in creative freedom than a huge budget film, saying, "I just know this way I can do whatever I want, and that outweighs any money anyone can give me." Now, this is the first time that Refn was eyed for a big studio film. He was attached for a few years to the Logan's Run remake, which is now, I believe, dead? I'm not positive. I haven't heard anything from the Logan's Run remake in a while, so that's probably still out there. And he came close to directing The Equalizer before he left, and of course Anton Fuqua came in with Denzel Washington. Now, I don't mind Refn's reasoning. In fact, it sounds like he knows what he wants. He prefers he prefers small budgets. He prefers creative freedom, and he prefers doing whatever he wants to do for his films. But at the same time, Refn has made claims for directing big budgeted films. He wanted to direct Wonder Woman in the past, and most recently he said he wanted to direct Batgirl movie. So the desire is there for Refn to direct it, but it sounds like his desire to be more creatively free and not have anyone kind of tell him what to do outweighs his desire to do a big budget film, which, I mean, that's fine. I mean, obviously, I think people can respect that. Of course, it doesn't help that Refn makes very colorful comments saying that doing a studio film is like sleeping with a prostitute. Yep, he compared doing a big studio film to sleeping with a prostitute. I believe that quote is somewhere in Variety, or you can just look it up. I would not do it justice by reading that comment on the podcast. Obviously, again, with my one tooth, which you can probably tell is already starting to bother me. But no, that quote should be read by you, because I would not do it justice. But yeah, he compared doing a big studio film sleeping with a prostitute. He's not American, so I guess he can make. Is he American? He can make those comments, I guess. I don't know. Nonetheless, I don't know how a Nicholas Winding Refn James Bond film would have turned out. You know, he has a very divisive fan base, put it that way, I being one of them. And I don't know how people, normal people, I don't know how other people would have reacted to a Nicholas Winding Refn James Bond movie. I don't know. I mean, it could be interesting, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if his style would really be a James Bond film style. I don't know. I think he's more, very artsy and surrealistic, but he has a very different style, and I don't know if his style for a James Bond film would go over with a casual, movie going audience. It'd be interesting to see, but I don't know if it would work out too well. And Refn, I mean, I have nothing against Refn. He's a great visual director. He has very interesting ideas, but a lot of his films sometimes are just they're not for everyone. Let's put it that way. And the Neon Demon, some cool cinematography. The message it's okay. I mean, it's there, and it's like, all right, I get what you're trying to do, but overall, the story and how they get to the final, it wasn't very good. I've only liked a few Nicholas Winding Refn films at that. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, he still wants to do a big budget film, and since the studio has already looked at him, I'm pretty sure when the time comes and they need to find a new director, he'll probably maybe still be on their radar. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see what happens. And Gauri Rice, I think that's how you say her name, joins Spider-Man: Homecoming. And Gauri Rice was one of the standouts in The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, and she played Ryan Gosling's daughter in the film, and she was fantastic. She held her own in the movie against two big stars, and she was great. And now she is in talk. Now she is not in talks. She is in Spider-Man: Homecoming, which is currently filming over in Atlanta. And of course, there's no word on what her role is just yet, but I'm pretty sure she'll play one of Peter Parker's friends or something in the film. She's about the right age, so she's in the film now. Just very quick little cast tidbit on that. Of course, Tom Holland will be the new Peter Parker / Spider-Man. Marisa Tomei is in the film as Aunt May. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Michael Keaton is potentially in the film as the villain, which is rumored to be Vulture. Disney Channel star Zendaya is in the film. Donald Glover, Logan Marshall Green, Hannibal Buress, and Martin Starr, and a bunch of others. It's a pretty great cast they have going on, and again, it's currently filming, and it's set to come out next year on July 7th. Steven Soderbergh may reunite with his Contagion writer for the Panama Papers movie. Now, Steven Soderbergh's retirement, put that in quotation marks, from feature filmmaking has come to an end. Pretty much, during that time that he was retired, he did 2 seasons of the TV series The Nick, which I hear is very good, and I've been wanting to watch it. It's on my DVR. I haven't watched it yet. But he's set to make his big screen return with the comedy heist film Logan Lucky. That pretty much has a star-studded cast that has Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, Riley Keough, and Daniel Craig. He's also producing the Gary Ross-directed Ocean's 11 spin-off movie Ocean's Ocho, and he has an HBO project called Mosaic that stars Garrett Hedlund and Sharon Stone. That may or may not be a movie. It's a kind of a mystery project. No one really knows too much about it. So why not add something else to his docket, right? Reports say that Soderbergh is set to produce, with an eye to direct, a feature film about the Panama Papers, which was a big data leak in the corporate and government history that came out back in April. If you want to read more about that, you can. And the big plus in all this, then Soderbergh will work with Scott Z. Burns, who wrote Soderbergh's films Contagion, like I mentioned earlier, The Informant, and Side Effects. And Burns will work off journalists Jake Bernstein's upcoming book, Secrecy World. There's no word yet on how the film will go about the message and everything. How, will they do a satiric take on it? Will it be a very serious take on it? There's no word yet on how that will happen. And there's no word yet on if Soderbergh will actually direct the film. If anything, he'll produce the film for sure, but there's no word yet on if he will direct. And I think it'd be kind of cool if he will direct another film with Scott C. Burns. I mean, the two obviously have a very great track record. The Informant was it was okay. It was good. But compared with Contagion and Side Effects, even Side Effects was okay. I think my favorite of the list of those three was Contagion, but they have a good track record and they work very well together. So if they can get this, if it's another directing, writing team up they can do, I think it'd be kind of cool I think it'd be really cool to see them two working together again. And the Panama Papers, it's interesting because it just happened in April, and there's no word yet on when this movie will start filming, but they're already working together. So let's say they start filming next year, late next year probably. We probably won't see the film for maybe 2-3 years tops. So I don't know, maybe by then it'll be okay because we'll know more about the Panama Papers. We'll know more about people being involved, and all that, all the other juicy tidbits, I guess, about the Panama Papers. I talked about Kirstie Clemens earlier. Rita Ora, and Lucy Bonton, I think that's how you say her last name, they are all eyed for the female lead in The Flash. Now, the DC Cinematic Extended Universe, I think that's what they're calling it, has already gotten underway with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and the extended cut is coming out soon, or just came out, and everyone's saying it's 10 times better than the theoretical cut. Well, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if I will see it, but I probably will, but somewhere down the line. But anyway, Justice League is filming right now. Wonder Woman has already wrapped filming, and it looks like The Flash will be the next film to start filming, or at least, is getting the most attention at the moment. There's no word yet on what the film will actually be about. However, The Flash does have a new director in Rick Famuyiwa. I think that's how you say his last name. He directed Dope, which was a really good movie that came out. I think it was last year. And it was really good. It was one of my favorite movies that came out. And it looks like he wants to reunite with one of his co-stars. Variety reports that Kirstie Clemens who was also in Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising, is the top choice for the female lead in The Flash, with insiders suggesting that she could be playing Iris West. However, The Hollywood Reporter came out and, reported that Rita Ora and Lucy Byonton, I think I pronounced her name two different ways this time. She was in the movie Sing Street, which was really good. She was great in that. Are also in the mix. Now, either way, it looks like the Flash cast is coming together. Now, Rita Ora, she was a singer. I guess she's an actress now, or she's doing both. I've only seen her in like little things. I saw her. She had a small role in Southpaw. She had a small role in Fast and Furious 6. She was also in the 50 Shades of Grey movie. I guess he plays the sister of Christian Grey, or one of the sisters. I didn't watch the movie. I just saw the IMDb credits. But yeah, she was in that. Lucy, I'm just going to call her by her first name. I don't know her personally because I don't want to mispronounce her name for a third time. She was good in Sing Street. I thought she did fantastic. And Kirstie Clemens, I've only seen her in Dope, and I saw her in Neighbors 2. I think she was in something else. I can't remember what it was. But she's great. She's got a lot of character. She's got a lot of charm and character to her. She's she's knocked out of the park pretty much for the two. She's 2 for 2 for me from what I've seen her in. So she would be my top choice just because I kind of know a little bit more about her. I don't know. I guess I'm playing favorites. The Flash already has Ezra Miller set to play the Flash, of course. And if rumors are to be believed, Ray Fisher will appear in the film as Cyborg, so they can do kind of this buddy team up for the film. No word yet on when the film will actually start filming. They're going to start filming sometime next year for their projected 2018 release. Pretty cool. I mean, we're going to start hearing a lot more of these DC casting tidbits soon. I'm pretty sure. Ghost in the Shell producer talks about the casting controversy. Ghost in the Shell will just not go away. So, the live-action adaptation of Ghost in the Shell has been plagued with controversy, obviously, from the very get-go. Scarlett Johansson was cast in the lead role. People, went off. They're like, why is this white lady in our movie? For some reason, I don't know if it just went away or if it just wasn't noticing. It became a lot more aggressive when the first photo of Johansson came out as the main character. And maybe it's because it was around the time, they had just had, the Oscars, the hashtag Oscars so white, and all this other thing. And of course, the Oscars fixed it, quote unquote, by adding more diversity to their academy over I think it was last week when they did that. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still a problem. It's not going to go away anytime soon. But producer Stephen Paul has opened up a little bit about the casting and about the movie in general, assuring fans that it was, quote, the right approach. In a conversation with BuzzFeed, he said this: I think everyone is going to end up really happy with it. They're going to be very, very happy with it. And when they see what we've actually done with it, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed. He then added, I think we've done the manga comic great honor, because there's a great respect that's been paid to the manga. We've been very, very careful. Obviously, there's some new imagination as well. I mean, like anything, we've been making a movie. We gotta bring our own. Now, some people, not a lot of people, but and this is the way I see it too, especially when I read these comments, it sounds like Paul is doing some damage control, and it almost sounds like he's questioning more of people's judgment on the film's quality more than Johansson's casting. I don't think anyone, at least from what I saw, from what I can see, was questioning the film's quality. They were always questioning the casting of the movie, which I guess in a way they were questioning the quality, because they want, if it's a white person, I guess the Ghost in the Shell movie is not going to be any good. And I've talked about the casting controversy when, on the podcast before, and I talked, and I mentioned, and I got really fired up about it. I think that's probably been the most fired up I've been on the podcast for that. I mentioned that it doesn't matter to me what skin color an actor has in a film. It doesn't matter to me, as long as they do a good job, and as long as they do the character justice, and as long as it's entertaining and they give a great performance, I don't care. Now, when it comes to remakes, obviously, there was this big boom of remakes in the early 2000s of Japanese horror films and foreign films from other countries, and we put, white actors in the film, and no one was blinking an eye. Or maybe people were blinking an eye, but it wasn't, we didn't have Twitter back then, so people can, bitch about it too much. And I'm not here, and I'm not saying I am all for all our movies having white people in it. No, I'm not. There should be diversity in Hollywood. Speaking as a Mexican American, yes, there should be more diversity in Hollywood. But his comments, it sounds like he's doing. It's not like he's coming like, yeah, guys, you were right. We should have casted a Japanese actress instead of Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, you're right. The movie's gonna suck. He's not gonna come out and say that. He's a producer in the film, and none of us have seen anything. And I think his comments just kind of rubbed people. I'm assuming, because I haven't actually read any of the reaction to these comments. I'm just assuming that people are just going to be mad anytime, a Ghost in the Shell story pops up, because what happens, it's going to, recycle a lot of feelings. But his next comments are the ones that I think for sure are going to rub people the wrong way. And he says, Ghost in the Shell is not a uniquely Japanese tale. And the wording is important, because a lot of people are saying that Ghost in the Shell is a uniquely Japanese tale. Again, and people are standing very behind that, and I get it. I haven't watched Ghost in the Shell yet. I made it very, very clear that I had not seen the movie. I am basing all of my comments and all of my opinions on what I have in front of me for this live action movie. I haven't seen the original Ghost in the Shell. I'm not as upset as a lot of other people out there. I'm upset that they didn't cast a ethnic person to a movie, yes. But I'm not going to cause an uproar and be like, god damn it. No, because it's the way Hollywood works. I know it now. But a lot of people were saying once before everything kind of, for the time being, cooled over, people were saying that Ghost in the Shell was a uniquely Japanese tale because, again, it's set in Japan, and it's very popular over there, and it became very popular over here with the people that saw it. But he said this, saying, I don't think it was just a Japanese story. Ghost in the Shell was a very international story, and it wasn't just focused on Japanese. It was supposed to be an entire world. That's why I say the international approach is, I think, the right approach to it. Adding there are all sorts of people and nationalities in the world in Ghost in the Shell. You are utilizing people from all over the world. There's Japanese in it, there's Chinese in it, there's English in it, there's American in it. And again, I don't know what to say to that, because again, I haven't seen the film yet. I will watch the film before the remake the live action adaptation comes out. But going off that and reading and remembering what I read of what people said earlier about Ghost in the Shell and how important it was for them, and how it has a special place in their heart. Reading that, I just can imagine those people reading that comment and literally flipping their laptops in the air, just cursing the sky, and cursing this guy's name. But it's reading comments like that does make me feel like you probably shouldn't have said that. But at the same time, he's a producer in the film. He's not going to come out and say anything negative about his film, because that would just be bad, bad press and bad, just bad for him as a producer in general. But we haven't seen the film. All we've seen is photos. There's some set photos out there, apparently. I've only seen the one photo that was released that everyone got pissed off at. We haven't seen a trailer yet. I'm sure they'll release a teaser, and I'm sure everyone will be upset at that. And then when they release a trailer or two, everyone's still going to be upset. Everyone's still going to be upset until this movie comes out, and maybe even afterwards. Am I going to go watch Ghost in the Shell? Yes, I'm going to go watch it, because it's a movie, and that's what I do. I go to the movies and watch movies that I think will be entertaining. If it doesn't look good from the trailers, I probably won't go watch the movie. But none of us have seen the movie yet. We shouldn't just jump to conclusions. I know that's very easy of us to do. And again, I've been very hypocritical. I have said that when I see a trailer, that movie's going to suck. And then maybe I go watch it and I'm surprised by it. I just did that to a movie earlier. I don't know, The Shallows. I've talked about it on the podcast, and I talked about it on the summer movie podcast, that I didn't think The Shallows was worthwhile. I didn't think it was going to be good. I think I even said I wasn't going to go watch it. And then I went to go watch it in the middle of the week. And you know what? I was surprised by it. I actually liked, I didn't like it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed The Shallows. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. There's some really great parts in the film. The cinematography is pretty good. Blake Lively, even, again, I'm not a huge Blake Lively fan, but I liked what she did in The Shallows. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I probably wouldn't go see it again. But I put aside my very judgmental, initial first thought of what the movie was, and I went to go see it, and I liked it. Now, again, this is different from The Shallows, because The Shallows was a movie that was original, for argument's sake, and Ghost in the Shell is obviously something that has a big following and already has a built-in audience. These are two very different movies. I get that. I'm not trying to compare the two. I just don't know. I don't know. It's like walking on eggshells when we're talking about, especially this one. I don't know why, but I think I have. But for me, I think I have this kind of. I can step away from it and I can say certain things because I haven't seen the original yet. Doesn't make it any better. I mean, obviously, if I saw the film, I would probably have a different opinion. Again, I don't know, but I would still say, you know what? I would still give Ghost in the Shell the benefit of the doubt and a chance because none of us have seen it yet. We have not seen anything from this film. No teasers, no trailers, no posters, no other pictures, nothing. Is Ghost in the Shell going to be good? I don't know. No one knows. Is it going to be decent? Probably. But there's going to be those people, like Ghostbusters when it comes down to a couple weeks, that are going to say, no matter what, they're going to walk in, they're going to say, well, I guess I'll go watch it. But they're going to have that attitude of being like, oh, this movie's going to suck. So it's going to take away any sort of enjoyment they have. So they're gonna sit there and they're not going to enjoy the film at all. So any sort of enjoyment, any sort of unbiased opinion they will have on the film is gone because they're already walking in and saying, I guess I'll watch this. It's probably gonna suck. But everyone's movie watching experience is different. If you're the kind of person that sits there and be like, oh, this movie's gonna suck, and you walk out saying, oh, it didn't suck that much, then okay. For me, and this is something I pride myself on, when I go watch a movie, all the hype, all the critics, everything I heard about the movie, I can leave that at the door, and I can just soak up the enjoyment or the dislike of whatever film I'm watching and walk out with the opinion of only watching what I just saw and not combining it with the critics and everyone else's opinions. I pride myself on that. Obviously, other people are different. But I just wanted to pass along this new Ghost in the Shell news. It's all over the place. I'm sorry for that, for my rambling. But yeah. Ghost in the Shell comes out next year on March 31st. I'm sure we'll be talking more about Ghost in the Shell on the podcast. Alright. Last news item of the podcast today is, while promoting Star Trek Beyond in Australia, director Justin Lin said that John Cho's Sulu character is gay, and that will make him the first openly gay character in the whole franchise. Apparently there's a scene in the film where it shows Sulu, it's like a picture or something, of him with his same-sex partner and their daughter. I'm still having a little trouble pronouncing words, so if you hear that, it's that. Obviously, there's a tooth missing from my mouth, so that's a reason why. And the character's sexuality is apparently a homage to the original Sulu actor, George Takei, who is, of course, a huge LGBT activist and himself, gay. So Cho confirmed the change and said, I like the approach, which was to not make a big thing out of it, which is where I hope we are going as a species, to not politicize one's personal orientation. And it's kind of cool. And again, it's just a little cool, interesting little tidbit of news that came out. And I'm sure people are going to make it a big deal, like, oh, Paramount's pushing the gay agenda. No. It's settle down. It's just it's not gonna hurt you to go watch a movie with a gay person in it. And I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Again, it's a little tidbit out there. It's not that big of a deal. I think it's kind of cool. Pretty cool. However, George Takei and Simon Pegg respond to Sulu's sexuality because George Takei commented on the change, saying it was really unfortunate. So you can't please everyone, even the person you're trying to pay homage to, I guess. He does bring up a good point, though. I'm going to read his comments. And Pegg, of course, came out and said, released his own comments, and I'm going to read their comments for you guys, in the best of my ability, obviously. So first, let's talk about Takei's comments, because those are the ones that came out first, obviously. Takei spoke to the Hollywood Reporter, saying it was unfortunate because he felt that rather than making Sulu gay, they should have introduced a new gay character. And this is what he said. Unfortunately, it's a twisting of Gene's creation to which he put in so much thought. I think it's really unfortunate. I told John Cho, be imaginative and create a character who has a history of being gay rather than Sulu, who had been straight all this time, suddenly being revealed as being closeted. He also spoke about Justin Lin, saying, this movie is going to be coming out on the 50th anniversary of paying tribute to Gene Roddenberry, the man whose vision it was carried us through half a century. Honor him and create a new character. I urged them. He left me feeling this was going to happen. And I understand, I think a lot of people understand Takei's approach. They could have made a brand new character, made that person gay, instead of already having an established character who everyone knows as gay. And we mentioned that, the making Sulu, gay in the new Star Trek movie was in some sense a homage to George Takei, who was himself gay and an activist for the gay community and the LGBT community. So hearing him say it's unfortunate makes a little sense. Well, not a little, it does make sense. But Simon Pegg came out and responded to The Guardian of these comments, saying this. And this is more kind of a lengthy response. And this is something after reading his comments and just looking back on the whole situation, it does make sense. This is what he said. I'm going to read all his comments, saying, I have a huge love and respect for George Takei. His heart, courage, and humor are an inspiration. However, with regards to his thoughts on our Sulu, I must respectfully disagree with him. He's right. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that the screen version of the most inclusive, tolerant universe in science fiction hasn't featured an LGBT character until now. We could have introduced a new gay character, but he or she would have been primarily defined by their sexuality, seen as the gay character, rather than simply for who they are. And isn't that tokenism? Justin Lin, Doug John, who was one of the co-writers, and Simon Pegg is actually one of the co-writers of the film as well. And I love the idea of it being someone we already knew, because the audience have a pre-existing opinion of that character as a human being, unaffected by any prejudice. Their sexual orientation is just one of the many personal aspects, not the defining characteristic. Also, the audience wouldn't infer that there has been an LGBT presence in the Trek universe from the beginning, at least in the Kelvin timeline, aka the new timeline that was created in the first film, this rebooted universe anyway. That's what he means by Kelvin timeline. Lost my place. That a gay hero isn't something new or strange. It is important to note that at one point we do suggest that our Sulu was ever closeted. Why would he need to be? It just hasn't come up before. So that was his primary comment. He did go on to say how this alternate universe would affect sexuality, saying our Trek is an alternate timeline with alternate details. Whatever magic ingredient determines out sexuality was different for Sulu in our timeline. I like this idea because it suggests that in a hypothetical multiverse across an infinite matrix of alternate realities, we are all LGBT somewhere. Whatever dimension we inhabit, we all just want to be loved by those we love. And I love George Takei. I can't speak for every reality, but that most surely true for this one. Live long and prosper. So let's take a step back a little bit after all that. And Pegg and Takei both bring up obviously great and good points to this I don't even want to call it a situation. This is not a situation. Just this. I don't even think issue is the right word either. I wholeheartedly agree with both of them, and the fact that this became a very civilized discussion. It didn't get nasty. They weren't attacking each other. Take note, internet, on this, but that helps. I do see Takei's point. They could have made a brand new character, but Simon Pegg makes the point that if we introduce a new character, if we make them the gay character, he or she, we make them the gay character, that's who they're going to be. And sadly, that is the truth. I think if there's a new character introduced and they found out that person, whether it was a male or female, were gay, they would just be the new gay character. And it's kind of sad that would be the case, but I think that would, I would hope that, there was more open-minded people to go in watching a movie. But sadly, that's not always the case. You can go on any message board and see this. And I haven't gone on the message boards a lot or comment sections or anything like that for this news story, just because I don't want to read a lot of negativity, because there's already a lot of negativity in the world right now. But this again, I don't want to call this situation, I don't want to call it an issue, because it's not what this is. This, I don't even want to call it just a thing, I guess. It's not a perfect word to use. It's you can look at it in both directions. You can look at it in both views. You can look at it as it being very unfortunate, the way George Takei sees it, or you can look at it in the way that Simon Pegg sees it as, oh, he was always gay, we just never brought it up, and we're gonna kind of maybe I'm looking at this wrong, or we're not making him gay. He was always gay. He just wasn't. It wasn't bought up. And I don't know if that's, again, it's probably not the best way to look at it, but it's the way that, some people are going to look at it. This doesn't bother me. And I feels like I should have an opinion, because obviously these two great people, and George Takei and Simon Pegg, people who are very close to this, franchise and series, have a very strong opinion on it. Strong enough opinion that, they would, put these statements out there. I don't know what, to think. Again, I agree with both people. I agree with George Takei, and I agree with Simon Pegg. I tend to agree a little bit more with Simon Pegg, not because he's, not because, it's Simon Pegg, no. And I'm a nerd. No, that's not why I'm agreeing with him. I agree with him in the sense that if they didn't introduce a new character, that's kind of probably sadly what would happen. Them being referred to as the new gay character. And not only that, but them being introduced in the third film of a already established franchise and trilogy with characters we already know and root for. Is it just kind of thrown in there? I don't know. Because, you also have, you see all these petitions and movements to, get gay characters in already established worlds like Star Wars or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There was petitions to give Captain America a boyfriend. There was petitions to give Elsa from Frozen a girlfriend. Introduce a gay character in Star Wars, the new Star Wars reboot trilogy. And there's nothing wrong with, having gay characters, especially in these big budgeted films where people are going to go watch these movies. But it shouldn't just be because we're pushing these people, these studios, to do it. And should it be like, oh, well, we're going to sign a petition, we're going to get, 5 million signatures, now you have to add this character. It just doesn't feel right if you're telling these studios. It's good to try to get a studio to get a gay character in the series, because, it's, again, it's 2016. Come on. It just get over yourself. Get open, be open-minded about don't stop being closed-minded. It's around you, whether you know it or not. But I don't know. I just every time I see those petitions, I'm just like, really? And it's not, again, there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not against it. I kind of hope that is the case. But at the same time, it's like we shouldn't just do it for the sake of doing it. We shouldn't do it for the sake of having a gay character. And I think with Star Trek Beyond, that may be a little bit of this is the way maybe some people will see it, that being the case. Oh, they're having a gay character for the sake of having a gay character. And they're going to make the gay character Sulu, who, of course, years down the line, we know that, George Takei was gay. Because he's gay, we're going to make the character that, we all know him from the Star Trek universe gay. I don't know if that's how they saw it or that's how people see it, but I'm imagining that's how some people are seeing it. This is a touchy subject, and it's one of those things where it's just like, should we just take it as for it is, or should we actually get into it and break things down? And this is, again, I agree with both of them. They both bring up solid points. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you think? Who do you agree with more? Or do you see a middle ground? Or do you think there's something more or less about the situation? But I can't keep calling it a situation. It's not a situation. It's not even an issue. What do you feel about this news item? Put it that way. All right, let's talk about this week's releases, everybody. The limited releases, we have 2 this week. We have Cell, which is based off the Stephen King novel. When a mysterious cell phone signal causes apocalyptic chaos, an artist is determined to reunite with his young son in New England. The film stars John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson, Isabella Fuhrman, Owen Teague, Ethan Andrew Casto, and Stacy Keach. Movie looks okay. I mean, I saw the trailer when it came out. I don't know. I haven't read the. I always wanted to read Cell, and the movie looks okay. But I still want to read the book to see how great. I've heard great things about it, but I still want to read it on my own. Probably will skip the movie and just read the book, which is probably what many people will probably do. Anyway, next movie, Mr. Fantastic in the Forests of the Pacific Northwest. A father devoted to raising his 6 kids with a rigorous physical and intellectual education is forced to leave his paradise and enter the world, challenging his ideas of what it means to be a parent. The film stars Viggo Mortensen, George McKay, Samantha Isler, Annalise Basso, Catherine Ha, Steve Zahn, Missy Pyle, Anna Dode, and Frank Langella. Looks pretty good. I think the early reviews I saw of the film were pretty positive. So I think Mr. Fantastic will do well with the audience it manages to bring in. Again, being a limited release. And this week's wide releases, we only have 2 this week. The first one is Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Hard partnering? I tell you, my tooth is messing me up. Wow, that's terrible. It should be interesting podcast for the next few months, ladies and gentlemen. Hard partnering brothers Mike and Dave plays an online ad to find perfect dates for their sister's Hawaiian wedding. Hoping for a wild getaway, the boys instead find themselves outsmarted and outpartied by the uncontrollable duo. Zac Efron, Adam Devine, Anna Kendrick, Audrey Plaza, Stephen Root, Stephanie Farsis, Sugarland Beard, and Sam Richardson all star in the what seems to be raunchy comedy. I haven't really been keeping up to date on the reviews on this just yet. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll probably end up going to watch it, but I don't know. I'm not too excited about. It's not like I'm going to be rushing to the theater to go watch this. But I'm sure this movie will find an audience. I don't know. I just don't think I'm that big of a fan of Adam Devine. I like Andrew Kendrick. I like Audrey Plaza. Zac Efron. He's hit or miss. But I don't know. It just hasn't grabbed me as much as I thought it would. And the second big release this week is, I'm pretty sure the big movie this week, The Secret Life of Pets, done by Illumination Entertainment, which did the Despicable Me movies and the Minions movie. A terrier named Max regularly invites his friends to hang out at his place while his owner is gone, but his quiet life is upended when said owner takes in Duke, stray mutt, who Max instantly dislikes. The voice cast includes the very star-studded cast of Louis C.K., Eric Stonestreet, Jenna Slate, Kevin Hart, Ellie Kempner, Lake Bell, Hannibal Buress, Steve Coogan, Dana Carvey, and Albert Brooks. Looks pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty funny. I mean, the teasers, the early teasers were really funny, and the trailers have been pretty cool. so far. Hopefully it turns out good. Illumination Entertainment, of course, Despicable Me, which were really good. The Minions movie was okay. It wasn't awesome, but we'll see what they do with this. All right, and let's do this week's box office predictions. Obviously, there's been no predictions with no podcasts, but this week's box office was Finding Dory, stayed at the number 1 position. The Legend of Tarzan was number 2. The Purge Election Year was number 3. The BFG was number 4. And Independence Day Resurgence was number 5. This week's picks, I don't know. I think Secret Life of Pets will beat Finding Dory in the box office. It's a new animated movie. It's a bunch of a bunch of animals, not just dogs. It's a bunch of animals talking. I mean, kids eat that up, and it's something new. So I think the Secret Life of Pets will win this weekend. Finding Dory will stay in the top 3. Will be number 2. I think just move down 1 spot. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, I think, will be number 3. I think there's enough fans out there that will come out and go watch that. The Legend of Tarzan will probably drop down all the way to number 4. And I think the Purge Election Year will probably stay in the top 5, in the number 5 position. I'm a little surprised by the BFG that it didn't do as well as I think a lot of people were expecting it to be. I saw the BFG. I thought it was pretty good. Some pacing issues within the film, but like around the middle, it seemed to kind of drag on for a little bit. But it was still a great movie. It was very magical. I thought it was great. I thought it was still good. The Purge Election Year was also a pretty good movie. I reviewed both movies on my review page, which link will be down below as well. But I liked it. I liked both movies. I didn't get a chance to go watch Legend of Tarzan. I'll probably do it sometime next week or over the weekend. But I didn't watch that. Finding Dory was obviously I watched that. It was great. Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, it was about what I expected. I mean, it was a little more than what I expected, but it was about what I expected in general. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's let's put it that way. It was okay. Alright, so my predictions again this week. The Secret Life of Pets at number 1. Finding Dory number 2. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates at number 3. The Legend of Tarzan number 4. And the Purge Election Year will round out the top 5. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast this week. I know I've been gone. Again, I had my tooth taken out. I just wasn't ready to return to podcasting. But I am now. And I'm back. And I know this podcast was a bit messy. It's my first podcast back. I'm a little rusty. And again, my tooth is gone, so I'm pretty sure there's words I mispronounced. I'll be hearing that when I edit this down and when you guys are hearing it. But yeah, I'm back. Hopefully next week I will also be doing the podcast. But a lot of stuff has been going on this week, and obviously if you watch the news or just Facebook, you know what the world is becoming. Now. With all the shootings, and it's crazy out there. So I know I don't get many listeners, and I think most of the listeners are probably friends of mine. And if you don't know me personally, then this message goes a little bit more toward you. I mean, obviously I want my friends to be safe as well, but just be safe, stay safe out there, and don't do anything stupid. Every once in a while I'll mention, don't do anything stupid unless you absolutely have to. And I always say it as a joke. And just seeing everything that's going on it's heartbreaking. It really is. And as much as I want to keep this podcast fun and, as fun as I possibly can make it, it's hard to ignore all the bad in the world, and it's hard not to talk about it. And I don't even know what to say other than just be safe, be careful, and just love the ones you're with and tell them that you love them, hug them, because you never know. And yeah, so just be safe out there, guys, and still have fun. Don't let all the negativity get you down, but just be careful. that's all we can ask for at this point now. So thank you guys so much for listening, and hopefully I will be coming back next week as well for another podcast. If a news item, of course, drops, a big one, you can go and find it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/moviepit, or you can just click the link down below. It will take you straight to the Facebook page. Also, keep an eye out on my WordPress account down below. The link will be down below as well. And see my written reviews. And yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. And on a somber note, sorry about that. But yeah, just be safe out there, guys. And as always, go watch some movies.